You ever had one of those moments when life just parks itself right in front of you and says, "All right, buddy, your turn to drive"? Yeah, that was me. Except at that time, I didn't even have a damn car. So, picture this. 24-year-old me, broke, half-decent haircut, working double shifts at a grocery store in Ohio. Taking the bus every morning, standing there in the freezing wind with my coffee going cold faster than my enthusiasm for life. And then there's her, Melissa, the kind of girl who looked like she walked straight out of an Instagram ad for happiness. Hair always perfect, nails done, perfume that smelled like rent money. And for some reason, she dated me. For 3 years. 3 years of late night calls, diner breakfast, her rolling her eyes when the bus didn't come on time, me saying, "It's just a bus, Mel, relax." And she'd go, "You're 24, Tyler. You should be driving by now." That was her favorite line. Like a mantra. "You should be driving by now." At first, I laughed it off. I told her cars were a waste of money, that I was saving, that I'd rather invest in something meaningful. Truth? I just couldn't afford one. My paycheck disappeared faster than her patience. One night, she said it again, in front of her friends this time. We were at some birthday thing for her coworker, and they all pulled up in shiny little sedans, and I showed up in an Uber because the bus didn't run that late. Melissa laughed. See what I mean? I can't keep dating a guy who arrives in a rideshare like he's my cousin from out of town. Everyone laughed too. Everyone except me. I remember walking her home afterward. She didn't apologize, didn't even look sorry. Just said, "I'm serious, Ty. You got to get your life together." And I asked, "What? Because of a car?" She said, "Because a man with no wheels has no direction." That line stuck with me. Not because it was deep, because it was stupid, but it hit me anyway. That was the night things started to fall apart. We lasted maybe another 2 months after that. She'd sigh whenever I mentioned the bus. She started working late, more often, wearing dresses she never wore before. I could feel it slipping, but I didn't want to admit it. Until that one Sunday. We were in her kitchen. She was making coffee. I was scrolling through job listings. And she just snapped. "I can't do this anymore, Tyler," she said, slamming the cabinet door so hard the mugs rattled. "Do what? Pretend this is going somewhere. You don't have a car. You don't have savings. You don't have a plan." "I'm trying, Mel." "Trying isn't enough," she yelled. "You think life's gonna wait while you try?" She grabbed her purse, took a deep breath, and said it. The line I'll never forget. "When you finally buy a car, maybe I'll let you pick me up. Until then," she pointed at the door, "you can take the bus." And she left. Just like that. You ever watch someone leave and know they're not coming back? It's weird. You don't even cry right away. You just stare at the space they were standing in. That's what I did. For maybe 15 minutes. Then I got up, grabbed my jacket, and walked 5 miles home because, funny enough, the last bus had already gone. That walk changed something in me. Not in some dramatic movie montage kind of way, no. More like a slow burn. By the time I got home, my feet hurt, my pride hurt worse, but my head was clear. I realized I'd been living like a passenger in my own life. So I made a decision. Next morning, I quit the grocery store. My manager thought I'd lost it. "You don't even have another job lined up," he said. I told him, "Yeah, well, staying here's not exactly taking me anywhere either." I started hustling. Picked up warehouse shifts, helped my cousin at his mechanic shop on weekends. I was sleeping 5 hours a night, eating instant noodles for dinner, but I didn't care. Every dollar had a destination now. You know how they say obsession's unhealthy? They never met a guy who got dumped for not owning a car. I was obsessed. By year 2, I'd save enough for a beat-up 2008 Ford Focus. Dented, squeaky, smelled like an old gym bag, but it was mine. I still remember the first time I turned the key and heard that engine rumble like a dying lawnmower. Best sound I'd ever heard. I drove everywhere. Didn't even need to. Sometimes I just take the long route home, windows down, cheap rock station playing, feeling like a king of asphalt. Funny thing, around that time, I met someone else. Her name was Jenna. She worked at this diner near the shop. First time I saw her, she dropped a tray of fries right in front of a customer and laughed instead of panicking. That laugh, it wasn't pretty or delicate, it was loud and real. I liked that. We started talking during my lunch breaks. She'd sneak me an extra piece of pie and say, "Don't tell the boss." She never cared what I drove or didn't drive. Hell, When I told her about my Ford, she said, "Does it run?" "Barely," I said. "Then it's good enough." We started dating not long after. No drama, no games, just two tired people trying to make each other laugh after long shifts. Years went by. I got promoted at the shop, learned how to talk to customers, how to sell cars, how to fix them. Then one day, my cousin, the same guy I'd helped years back, said he was moving to Florida. He wanted to sell his share of the business. I took a loan, signed the papers, and just like that, I became the owner. At first, it was just me, two part-time guys, and a gravel lot with maybe 8 cars on it, half of which wouldn't start without a prayer. But business grew. Slowly, I started flipping used cars, fixing them up, reselling them. Then I got my license to operate a proper dealership. Now, I run Tyler's Auto and more. Yeah, I know, not exactly catchy, but it's stuck. We sell everything from shiny SUVs to humble sedans that just need a second chance. Like me back then, sometimes customers ask how I got into this. I tell them, heartbreak. Best teacher there is. They laugh. But I'm not kidding. 10 years after Melissa walked out, I'd pretty much forgotten her. Life had its own rhythm. Jenna and I were married by then, had a little boy who thought every car on the lot was a race car. Then one afternoon, I saw her again. It was a Wednesday, middle of the week, sun baking the hood of every car in the lot. I was talking to a couple about financing options when I looked up, and there she was. Melissa. She looked the same almost, just older. Still pretty, but with that kind of polished tiredness people get when life doesn't quite match their expectations. She was holding hands with some guy, tall, hair slicked back, trying too hard in a suit that didn't quite fit. They walked around, looking at cars. Then she saw the sign above my office door. Owner, Tyler Reed. Her face froze. She blinked like she couldn't believe it. I just stood there, halfway between a grin and disbelief. She whispered something to her boyfriend. He shrugged and kept walking toward the pre-owned specials section, where we keep the cheaper stuff. You know what they picked? A 2010 Honda Civic with faded paint and a missing hubcap. Cheapest car on the lot. I didn't go over right away. I wanted to see if she'd recognize me first. She did. She walked up, tried to smile, but it came out crooked. Tyler, wow. You own this place? Yeah, I said. Been running it for a few years now. She looked around. It's nice. Thanks. It keeps the lights on. There was a pause, that kind of silence you could park a truck in. Then she said quietly, I heard you're married. Yeah, 2 kids. She nodded. She must be proud. She's happy, I said. That's enough for me. She looked down, then over at her boyfriend, trying to open the car door like it was a puzzle. Do you mind showing us this one? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. I said sure. Professional smile. Handed her the keys. She sat inside, touched the steering, while like she was thinking about something far away. Then she looked at me, eyes glossy, like she was fighting it. This is ironic, isn't it? She said. Guess so. I used to say you'd only be someone when you got a car. And now I sell them, I said. She laughed, short and painful. Then she stood up, gave me the keys back. We'll take it, she said. I nodded, called one of the guys to handle the paperwork. She turned away before I could say anything else. But as she walked toward the office, she stopped. For a second, she just stood there, shoulders shaking. Then she wiped her face with her sleeve and kept walking. She didn't look back. That night, I sat in my office long after closing. Lights off, just me and the hum of the vending machine. I kept thinking about that last day she saw me, the one where she walked out, about how she said, when you buy a car, maybe I'll let you pick me up. Well, I guess I did, just not the way she meant. You know what's funny? I don't even hate her. Not anymore. If anything, I'm grateful. Because if she hadn't left, I'd probably still be that guy waiting for a bus, convincing himself that life would start someday. Melissa was wrong about a lot of things, but she was right about one. A man with no wheels has no direction. I just had to find mine the hard way. People sometimes ask me what I'd say to her if I could go back. I think about that a lot. And the answer's simple. I'd say, thanks for the push. Then I'd get in my car, roll the windows down, and drive. Not to impress anyone, not to prove a point, just because I can. But hold on, that's the short version. You wanted the whole story, right? All right, let's rewind a bit. You'll see how wild those years actually were. When Melissa and I first met, I was bagging groceries at Green Mart. She came through my checkout lane one evening, perfectly dressed, like she'd stepped out of a magazine, buying one bottle of wine and a box of strawberries. She said, "You're new here." I said, "Is it that obvious?" "Yeah," she smiled. "You're still polite." That's how it started. Next thing I know, we're having coffee after her yoga class. She's telling me about her marketing job downtown, and I'm pretending not to be intimidated by her apartment with an actual view. She had everything figured out. I had a bus pass, but she liked me, or liked that I listened. Maybe. I wasn't flashy, but I was steady. For a while, that was enough. Our first fight was over something stupid. I was late to meet her parents because the bus broke down. She was furious. "You could have borrowed someone's car," she said. "Whose?" "I don't know, Tyler." "Anyone's." "Yeah, I'll just stop strangers on the street." "Hey, mind if I borrow your ride for a date?" She didn't laugh. That's when I realized Melissa measured effort by money, not feelings, not time, money. And I was bankrupt in her currency. Still, I kept trying. Saved for driving lessons, failed the test twice. She laughed both times, said I was cute when I tried to be ambitious. But man, when she was nice, she was really nice. She'd make pancakes at 2 a.m., dance around in my hoodie, kiss me like we had forever. That's what kept me hooked, those little glimpses of the girl who wasn't judging me. Until those glimpses got shorter. After she left, my life turned into a blur of work. I joined a small logistics company, started as a loader, worked up to fleet manager. Learned a lot about cars and engines. The guys there taught me more in 6 months than school did in years. I figured if I was going to chase something, it might as well have wheels. Funny how once you get focused, life opens doors you didn't even know existed. I started flipping cars on the side. Craigslist, auctions, junkyards, you name it. I cheat, fix, sell. Half the time, I didn't even make a profit, but I was learning. Jenna used to say, "You treat those cars like they're people." And I said they are. Some just need someone to believe they can run again. She rolled her eyes. That's the corniest thing I've ever heard. But she smiled when she said it. She stuck by me when money was tight. When we ate cereal for dinner. When my first real sale went south because the engine blew 2 days later. She didn't complain once. She just said, "You'll figure it out. You always do." And I did. By the time I opened my own place, she was pregnant with our first kid. I remember hanging the sign, "Tyler's Auto and More," while she sat in the car, eating fries and cheering me on. That's the thing about Jenna. She never cared how fast I was going, as long as I was moving forward. The business grew faster than I expected. I started hiring help, got connections with local dealers, even sold a few cars to the police department. Sometimes I'd walk through the lot at night, after everyone left, look at the rows of cars and think, this is it. This is what all those bus rides were for. And then Melissa showed up. When she left that day, crying, I didn't follow her. Didn't need to. I'd already had my closure years ago. But later, one of my guys told me something funny. Said the man she was with argued over the price for 15 minutes, tried to get a discount for paying cash. She just stood there, quiet, staring at the floor. They bought the car, drove off the lot. And you know what? The engine stalled halfway down the road. Nothing serious, just a dead battery. Happens. But I couldn't help but laugh when I heard. Because, really, how's that for poetic timing? A week later, Jenna asked why I was so quiet during dinner. I told her. She said, "Do you still think about her?" "Not like that," I said. Just what it all meant. Jenna nodded. Maybe it meant you had to get broken to rebuild better. She's smart, my wife. Doesn't waste words. She just gets it. So yeah, that's my story. A guy who got dumped for not having a car and ended up owning a dealership. People think it's a revenge story. It's not. It's a story about perspective. About how sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the start of the best thing that'll ever happen to you. Would I change anything? Maybe I'd buy that damn Ford sooner. But honestly, probably not. Because every bus ride, every shift, every argument built me into the kind of man who could handle what came next. And if Melissa ever drives by my lot again, I hope she sees more than just cars. I hope she sees that sometimes losing someone isn't the end of your road.